Welcome to Bring Us Back, bringing back common sense to the American people. Now, I haven't been on in a while, and there's a lot going on in the world. A lot of things I want to touch on, some things I won't get to today. For starters, like I called it, Trump won. And not only did he just win, but he destroyed the Electoral College. Like I knew would happen and like I predicted. And it was a beautiful victory for America. It was a great victory for your children and for millennials and for elderly people and all Americans. Inner cities, suburbs, rural. The handcuffs and the shackles have been taken off of the American economy. And we are going to go full steam ahead. It's going to be wonderful. Just like I called the results of the election, I'm calling a fantastic economy by the end of his first 4 years. And what's going on with the great disconnect with the media right now? I could give you a few examples. To start with, after the Ohio State attacker a few weeks ago got in a fit of rage and drove his car into a group of students at the Ohio State University, then getting out and brandishing a knife and chasing these students and trying to stab them, was shot dead by a hero in blue. A hero. Hero. Let me say it again. A hero. But the media reported it and said nothing of this man's ideology or of his religion. A few places reported that ISIS took credit for the attack a few days later, but most didn't, and it wasn't made a big deal. So ISIS puts one of their sleeper soldiers into our country. He attempts to attack a bunch of students innocently studying at a university, but yet his ideology and his religion don't matter. But the ideology and the religion of the home improvement stars from Waco, Texas, does matter. That's right. Welcome to America, where our media is more focused on the ideology and religion of home improvement stars than people who commit violent acts against our people. The great disconnect. They are disconnected from reality. They are disconnected from the people. That is why this, quote, alt-right movement, which is actually nothing more than fact-seeking libertarians creating their own channels, because the new age Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC cannot be trusted. And the polls prove the American people don't trust them. So these libertarians are going out of their way to set up these, quote, alt-right stations to get their own answers, because we can no longer trust our media. It's a great, wonderful disconnect. You see it in what I just explained with the Ohio State attack and their lack of investigation into that, and how strongly they investigated into these Christians, white Christians from Texas. We saw it in the election. They were completely disconnected from the actual truth and who was going to win. They were wrong the entire year. No one predicted his win except talk radio, quote, alt-right channels, and people like myself with small YouTube podcasts. So take that into consideration. All of the things I and other people like me have predicted, the quote alt-right, have been correct. But with the mainstream media with the most money, the most backing, and in their minds, the most reputable sources have been wrong on most things. Most big things, I should say. So you got to take that into consideration. Where are you getting your news from? Now, it's great that Trump won. I'm ecstatic. I put my heart out there for that man. I went to multiple rallies. I saw tapings of Hannity in person. I mean, I got down and made phone calls. I did everything I possibly could have. I was ridiculed by my friends, some family, but it didn't matter. I put my life on the line, and I am ecstatic, don't get me wrong. But just because he won doesn't mean that all the changes I and people like me that voted for him want implemented are going to fix everything in America. We have so many problems going on outside of governing in Washington. Like the complete and total weakness of millennials. I've talked about this before. I'm sure some of you have heard this. But it's insane to think that millennials nowadays are so sensitive and weak-minded. Could you imagine if the young men and women who served in World War II were this soft? Think about that. We would have never won the war, and we would have possibly lost our freedom and some of the freedoms we have today, like safe spaces and transgender bathrooms. None of that would have been possible if these softies had fought in some of the great battles of our time. And it's hilarious that another thing I was thinking about when it comes to the media, I'm going to go back to this because this is what's really piquing my interest right now. Obama went to Cuba this year, a communist dictatorship, and pranced around, went to baseball games, out of this, out of that, picking up flowers with the Castro. And it's okay. But Trump takes a single phone call from an incoming democratic country of Taiwan, and it's deemed unacceptable by all the media and their pundits. Just give that a thought. As a matter of fact, I can see where this is going. I'm going to continue to talk about the media the rest of this entire episode because it's gotten under my skin for so long. So long. They've been wrong about everything. We got everything right. They got everything wrong. And now they can't stand it. So I'm going to continue to keep poking that wound. Another example of the disconnect. Trump was out doing his thank you tour. He went to multiple places. He went to Iowa, he went to Pennsylvania, Ohio, this, that. And he was brandishing Christmas trees behind him because it's a holiday season. And a sign on his podium, instead of saying, "Make America Great Again," it said, "Merry Christmas, Trump." And the date or the location or whatever have you. The media, I can't remember which source, but one of them came out and wrote a story saying he was trying to brand the name Merry Christmas and take it as his slogan and used it against Muslims and Jews and people who don't celebrate Christmas. They were trying to say that he was singling out other views and other religions because he's a racist by using this term. It's absolutely ridiculous that in our country, majority of our country is Christians and they celebrate Christmas. There's Christmas trees everywhere you go. In every city, in every downtown, in every department store. It's ridiculous to think that we as Christians, or we just as Americans, or we in general, cannot anymore say Merry Christmas without being deemed racist. That is what the left has done to this country. They have deemed anyone who is not accepting of them or wholesomely including them as racist. We are racist because we say Merry Christmas or because we go to church. Absolutely insane to think that. Now, I, for one, encourage discussion. I encourage disagreement. I encourage arguments. We need to talk our problems out. We need solutions. And the only way you do that is when you meet someone halfway, or at least you get a chance to speak your mind to each other and sway someone's opinion one way or the other. That's what America is about. People from all different backgrounds, religions, coming together and finding some common ground under the great words printed in our Constitution. The problem is, liberalism does not condone that idea which I just gave. Liberalism is very simple. You agree with me? We're good. You don't agree with me? You're a racist. You don't agree with me? You're a bigot. You don't agree with me? You're an idiot. That is a very, very dangerous thing to be letting into our country, especially at a time like this. The worst thing we can possibly do right now in this country is become more divided by letting liberalism take over more of our schools, government, anything. We need to come together, whether we like each other or not. I cannot stand liberals. I think liberalism is a mental disorder. But I'm willing to sit at the table with them. Can they do the same? No. They cannot sit there and think with logic. That is what we need in this country. A lot of people think Trump is going to divide this country. You can't blame anything on Trump. You can only blame what's going on yourself. You have to take responsibility for yourself. So me, if a liberal wants to come meet and speak with me, I'll sit across the table from them and I'll kindly have a discussion with them. But that's on me to do it. That's not on Trump. We know what Trump's ideas and philosophies are. He wants to take the shackles off the American economy, and he wants to push businesses forward and create jobs for people, and he wants to keep us safe. Now, whether you like the way he speaks about it or not, that's a different story. We know his philosophy. He's not going to change. He's a 70-year-old man. He believes what he believes, and he's going to do what he believes is right. He cannot change your opinion or mind. He cannot make you sit at the table with someone like me. We have to do that on our own. We have to come together. That's the only way we're going to heal the wounds in this country. And the media is one of the biggest dividers that we have nowadays. They don't report all the facts, and the stories they do report are the ones that they find interesting, not the ones that the American people find interesting. And that has been very evident this past year and a half and through this election cycle. So the best thing we can do as Americans is speak to each other. Speak to your neighbor. Speak to your friend. Speak to that coworker at work that doesn't agree with you on everything. The best way as Americans in this day and age for us to heal our wounds and for us to gain some knowledge of what's going on around us is talk to people. Is simple conversation. And yes, if you're looking for a third-party media source, do some research. Don't just watch Fox News because everyone watches Fox News, or don't just watch CNN because your grandma watches CNN. Do some research. Look what's inside of you. That's the best way to to figure out what is going on in this country. And for God's sakes, don't be afraid to disagree with someone. That's one of the biggest problems we have nowadays. Liberals are teaching their children that it's damaging if someone disagrees with them. It's not. It's healthy. That's what makes America great. That's what made America great, and that's what will make America great again. Thank you for tuning in. This is Bring Us Back. We are liberating America from liberalism and conserving America with conservatism.